Okay, I've got the microphone out, I've got the notepad and the pen. We know this video is going to get serious. So sorry, I have to have my microphone out at the moment because I can't put it anywhere on me where it's not facing down. You won't be able to hear me very well. So why not? Let's look serious. I've got the microphone. We're going to talk money today and a little bit around some of the assumptions I think people make about people that live this lifestyle. So as a lot of you know, maybe I'll touch base first on the assumptions part, because I do feel like people make assumptions about me in the van that, you know, I mustn't have money, or I'm destitute and that's why I live in a van. It's not the case at all for me. I know that that's not the case for a lot of people, and, you know, it may not be their choice to live in a van. For me, it's purely because I love the lifestyle. I do, and I think I think also because, you know, I walk around in hippie clothes, and I think people can't sometimes reconcile, like I'm a bit of an oxymoron. I call myself a capitalist hippie and a classy bogan because I obviously am a hippie. I love my clothes. I love being out in nature. I'm quite spiritual. But I also have a finance background. So I believe, my beliefs around, you know, we need capitalism in a society. It's probably a whole other video, but anyway. So because I come from a business background, you know, it doesn't go together a lot of the time. It's left brain, right brain. And I'm a classy bogan. This is my professional persona I put on YouTube. I can be a bit bogan at times. So that's presuming that I'm classy on YouTube. Anyway, moving on. When it comes to finance, I have a background in finance. So I don't have a home. People think that, you know, maybe I have a home somewhere that I rent out. Maybe I've sold a home and had all this money from that. No, it's not the case. I have owned homes in the past, but having a house for me is just not my ideal. I'm certainly absolutely not advising you to sell your property in order to live this lifestyle. It's certainly not a wise move. If you have a property, I would absolutely keep it and, you know, lease it out and that sort of thing, because, you know, it's an asset that's giving you income. The only reason I don't is because I hate the responsibility of it. I've owned properties before and rented them out, and for me personally, it's not worth the hassle. I would much rather invest in shares. It's a lot less responsibility for me, so that it's completely a personal choice. It's to be in the property market at the moment. It's not a wise move to get out of it, because it's still booming so much, you know, like it'd be so hard to get back into it. So if you haven't experienced this lifestyle for a long time, you know, you may want to go back to a home. So it would be very difficult to get back into that property market if you exited it now. I have considered, you know, while I'm 45, I work full time with a good income, you know, should I now invest in property again? And I have mulled it over many times, but it's really just not for me. It makes me feel sick at the thought of it. It's just not, you know, like with property comes the even if it was like a bit of land somewhere, there is still responsibility with that. I still have to maintain that property. If it's rural, I have to make sure that, you know, if a fire breaks and all that's maintained, I've still got to pay rates and taxes on it. So it's just not for me personally. I'm certainly, please, you know, you've got to look at the things I say and apply them to your own situation. So that's my view on the having a home and an asset. And I've digressed from my list here, so I may be jumping about a lot. Well, let's go to shares then. So shares for me, obviously it's a volatile market, and I think like shares, you've still got to look long term with that. So it's the same as the property market. And at one time I did look into the benefits of property versus shares over a long-term period, like 10, 20 years. And I think the share market still outweighed the increase in the property market. But that was a number of years ago that I looked at that. So yeah, it's once again, apply it to personal circumstance. It's long term, and I have to look at long term at the moment. I do have a good super fund, and I have it in high growth. The reason I have it high growth is because I can do that. I can take those risks because I don't have a family to care for. It's just my personal circumstance. I can do that. So yeah, it is always, it's an up and down, and you've got to go with the flow, roll with the punches, which is why for me at the moment it's still really important to have a decent income coming in. So we've covered super shares and housing. So let's go to my current situation is obviously I'm in finance. I haven't elaborated too much on what exactly that job is because I want to keep my work life and YouTube separate. That job is completely remote. I have a bookkeeping background, so it is in bookkeeping, but I do operations as well. So it's a lot of, I don't want to go into it too much because I don't want to give away where I work. But, there are different ways and means that you could get a job remotely to work on the road. I think that it's just a matter of applying yourself and really being consistent in how you approach it and having faith that you will be able to find that work. So there is some of the suggestions I've got. So bookkeeping is obviously one of them. Now, I'm employed through an organisation. So you could actually still do that and have clients. It's certainly a way to do it. And the reason I don't do it that way is because as a bookkeeper, you need to sort of be a registered BAS agent to make good money. And to do that, you need to keep your insurances up. You need to keep your professional training hours up and all of that sort of thing. And I can't be bothered with all of that, to be really honest. So for me personally, it's just easier to have a job where I can log on for a few hours a day, get the work done, log off and forget about it. So that's why I have an actual job. But you could, you can still get into bookkeeping later in life. It is a great form of income. It pays well. So if you are later in life, still look into it because, it is a really good income earner. It does give you a lot of freedom. If you're into design, you could do design work, graphic design. There's heaps of marketing. Like there's so much stuff on social media now you could do. So there's another stream. Remote assistant. You could just do someone's general admin work. And generally speaking, like doing bookkeeping, that kind of comes with the territory with that as well. So yeah, but you could go on websites like Fiverr. That's just an example. There's a few of them out there like that. And so that's just like it's a website where people are looking for certain jobs to be done, and then you quote them that job, and then you've got the job, and you pay it all through that particular website. So it is a great way to sort of get yourself out there if you don't have your own website. I'll sort of talk about my plan, but one of the other things I really want to mention here is if you are looking, a lot of people looking to do this lifestyle are doing it because they want freedom. They want a particular sort of life. So don't go looking for work that you're still going to be miserable in. You could be sitting here doing it, looking at these beautiful views, but it's still going to rob your soul. So try and look for things that you're passionate about. And I think that's why YouTube is so amazing. I sort of look at any transitional change, and it can take anywhere between 2 to 5 years to really get to where you want to be. So with my plan personally, getting the job for me was about filling a gap. I hadn't quite worked out yet exactly what my passions were and what I wanted to do with my life. And that was something that I was good at and I can do very well. So when I got that job, I only looked at remote work. I was determined that that was what I wanted to do. There was a particular field in which I wanted to be in, so I only focused on that field. So it is possible, but you've just got to make sure you write lists down, be determined, be consistent, and try and focus on that. So once I got that job, then I started doing YouTube. And to be honest, even with YouTube, I was still unclear what I was doing on, well, I'm still a bit unclear on what I'm doing on here. I feel like I'm refining it a lot more now. So when I started YouTube, I was doing a lot of videos that were more about locations that I was traveling to. So because I love hiking, I love snorkeling, I really didn't think people would be interested in me living in a van. I didn't quite understand that. So I would do more videos about being out hiking, some of the places I'd seen, maybe some of the road trips along the way, but not everyday van life. And it wasn't until I started doing everyday van life videos that my channel started to really take off. So that's something I have refined. But alongside of that, I still want to keep doing those videos. So I still personally love being out in nature and hiking. So I'm learning how to sort of combine those things together. So I think people are enjoying some of the videos where I'm out camping because they can see different campsites and things like that. So it's not until you start doing something in life that it kind of unfolds for you. And what makes me laugh is that the people I aspire to in life have been Jane Goodall, who worked in the forests of Gombe with the chimpanzees, and obviously David Attenborough. And what makes me laugh is I'm kind of doing that now. You know, they were my idols. I loved them, and all I wanted to do was just be out in nature and film animals. So I kind of feel like I'm living my dream life now doing these videos. So it's not, it's until you take that inspired action, sometimes life just unfolds for you in doing that. And obviously artwork is something else I love doing. So I hadn't picked up a paintbrush or a pen for years, and I picked that up probably during COVID. I picked up a paintbrush for the first time, and I had actually studied graphic design. I did art and design at TAFE in Fremantle Prison, funnily enough, amazing. And then I did graphic design and advertising at uni. So to go back to artwork, like that really, when I sit there and I'm doing the artwork, I feel like I'm a teenager again. Like I have my music going that I love. And so I'd been persisting with print on demand for my artwork for a couple of years now, and it just hasn't worked for me. So print on demand is where I put my designs on mugs and clothing and all of that sort of thing, and it goes through a website where you place the order and it'll go directly to a provider who will print it and send it out to you, because I thought, well, that's perfect, because then I don't have to handle any stock. So it was like a real win-win for me. But it just hasn't worked. The margins, I just don't make enough on the whole thing. It's more like the printer and the programs that, they sort of win out more than the artist does. And plus I have no quality control. So, something might get posted out and it's just not the quality that I would have it done in. So, and I really didn't want my artwork on things that weren't high quality. It diminishes me as an artist. So what I've done now is I have decided to print my own prints and stickers, and so I'm currently working on a new website, and hopefully that will be up. I'm sorry it's taking so long. I greatly appreciate all of you that have gone on to my current website and subscribed to the email list. That's really giving me some oomph to keep going, that people are actually interested. So I am persisting with that at the moment. I bought this massive printer. It's ridiculously big, and luckily enough it fits in one of my drawers, and so I'm now going to print prints myself and post them out myself, and hopefully my YouTube and my artwork, my website gets enough that I can hand that off to someone else to do that, the physical labour of printing them off and posting them. But everything is a process, so you sort of take the steps, and I personally don't just jump headfirst into things like 100%. I don't want to. I take calculated risks. And so in my head, when I did start van life, I had in my head that I wanted to like park up places and just sort of sit here with my table, because this table here can now swing out, and just like create artwork, but also have my prints and stickers available here, so I could just park up somewhere and then people can buy directly from me that way as well. And I actually have a big magnet with eucalypt designs that I can stick on the side of my vehicle. So that's some of the ways in which I earn money. I plan on earning money. I just love creating on YouTube. I've really fallen in love with it. So it's kind of my, I suppose this will lead into retirement. So that's kind of my retirement plan. Like I really want to, I don't ever really want to completely retire. I'm a big believer in keeping your mind active because it keeps you going longer. You know, I keep my body active, my mind active, and then I just feel like, you know, that will keep me going into old age. I still plan on being here over 100. I'm determined. So that's why I think like YouTube for me, it is a bit of passive income because videos that you post can stay there for a long time and still earn you income. But you still, I don't know, you do still need to keep making fresh videos to keep a steady income coming through. I don't know how big YouTube will get for me. I'd love to get to 100,000 subs. That for me I'd be so stoked with that. I'm not sure I really want to become a very massive YouTuber. But I think that it's good to have different income streams. So for me, I've got my job, YouTube, and my artwork. And, you know, with social media, you never know what happens. Like, you know, you could have a few strikes against your channel for some reasons and lose it all overnight. I could be cancelled for something I've said. Yeah. So, you know, it's never quite sure exactly how it's going to go. So I look at every day I'm on YouTube as a blessing. But that's why I think it's important to have different streams of income. Like I said, I do have a pretty good super and I still want to keep contributing to that. And it's another reason why I'd still like to keep my job for a while because, you know, that does keep topping up my super. So, yeah, and I mean, you know, the age to access your super seems to keep getting pushed further and further out. So it could be a very, very long time before I'm able to access that super. But I think it's important to really, don't stress about the future, but still plan for it. You know, I could also just lose my job overnight too. We have suffered somewhat in our organisation due to certain, you know, economic factors lately, and it has been uncertain. So I have been a little bit worried about that safety this year. I know I can always go and get another finance position again, but to be honest, I don't really want to do that. I really just want to make, my artwork and YouTube work for me and just see what else comes from that too. You never know when you put yourself out there on social media what other opportunities might arise. So that's my sort of snapshot on money and finance. If you have any questions, please put them below. All of these are just my personal viewpoints. And as I said earlier, please, you've got to just take everything I say move it into your own personal circumstance. I hate this word influencer. I don't want to be an influencer. I'm here to try and provide advice and give my opinion on my circumstance. And, you know, please just make things work for you and your circumstance. Don't take everything I say as gospel. So I hope some of this has helped. And like I said, please make sure you put any comments or questions below, and then I'm happy to answer those in another video. Happy travels!